So today I'm going to be doing a little bit of coloring. I have the Art Impressions Unmounted Stamp Set, and it's the Tower of Kittens, or Cats, and we're going to use the sentiment that goes with it as well. I'm starting out with my Misty tool, and I'm just laying down where I want the sentiment and the cats to go. And once I have them in place, I'm just going to use the top to pick up the stamps, and then we're going to use the My Favorite Things hybrid ink, and we're going to go ahead and get them inked up, and then we're going to stamp them over on our piece of paper. Now, if I could and we could all talk to each other, I would ask you guys, what did I forget to do? If you guessed I didn't put the magnet on my sheet of paper, you would be correct. And you're going to see what happens because of it. I assumed I pushed my piece of paper all the way up into the far corner. When I put it back and I stamped, you're going to see everything's going to look like it's slightly off. I'm going to try and hold it up a little bit closer here. It's hard to see, but it didn't look clean and crisp. So when you make a mistake, thankfully most of the time you can flip the card over and go ahead and stamp it again. That's why you do your stamping and your coloring, hopefully while the piece is not attached to your card, so that way you don't run the risk of having to try and pull something apart because you messed it up. So thankfully learned my lesson, pulled out my magnet, inking it up again, and I'm going to stamp one more time. Now on this one, you'll see there's kind of a little bit of a boo-boo. I don't know if you can see it up close on this one, but it's just like a little black ink mark. It almost makes it look like the cat's paw is like waving. I'm going to see if I think I hold it up. But what I decided to do was off camera try and stamp it again. Well, I wind up getting, I think it was another little bit of mark, but it's just a little itty bitty line. So I'm like, I can live with that. So let's go ahead and start the coloring. One of the things I like to do is to share, my oopsies, my thought processes, all that good stuff with you guys. And what I learned is you should really test and play with cardstocks before you start your video. And the reason why I say that is because this white paper that I'm using here is actually from Spectrum Noir or Crafter's Companion, and it's made to work with the Spectrum Noir markers. It's a smooth cardstock. It really works really well with their markers. Having said that, these particular markers that I'm using are the Zig watercolor, the real marker brush, excuse me. And as you can see, the color's not blending, it's not moving the way that I want. And so the first cat, it kind of looks a little scary because the black and the darker gray is just not blending fully to what I want. But I decide, you know what, let's just keep going anyway. We're just going to keep trying. So I lay down some more color on our second cat here, and I'm still noticing it's not blending the way that I really want it to, and it starts driving me a little nuts because you don't want to put down too much water on paper that's not obviously watercolor paper, because you can get bubbling or maybe even some ripping. So I decided to take two of the browns and try and tip them to make it blend and to add the color. And with this cat, I was like, okay, this might be okay if it's a little bit darker because the eyes are closed, and once it dries and looking at the page, it should be okay. So I continue on. I'm like, okay, well, let's do our next color. And this one was a good color too, because, you know, I'm trying to learn or try more doing the pink for the cheeks and stuff like that. I'm still trying to get a hang of it, even on animals. It doesn't always work out the way that you plan, you know. And so on the next one, I got a little bit lighter. That's why I picked out so many markers, because I knew with the tower, I didn't want to wind up, you know, having the same color right next to each other. I wanted to be able to use, you know, enough variety for our tower of cats, you know. And it's here on this one where I'm kind of like, I went too dark, it's not blending, and nothing is looking the way that I wanted it to. But I still say, let's just keep going. We'll keep trying, see if I can get this to turn out. But what I decided to do in the midst of this was looking at the different colors that I have, and in my mind I'm thinking, you know what, I should just grab the markers. They're right in front of me. I'm like, I could grab like 3 of them in 3 different shades and, you know, bust out the last few cats. And it would have worked, but upon looking at the finished product, I was just like, you know what, I'm not liking it, I'm not feeling it. I was like, that first cat just didn't look right, so I'm actually going to put this one to the side and start all over, because, you know, the first 2 times I stamped them, it didn't really feel right, didn't look right, so I stamped it a second time. So luckily I have a lot of different options to test and, you know, figure this thing out before we put it on the actual card front. So I'm like, okay, I now know what I want to do. I'm not going to use any of the dark color. I'm just going to use the gray on the bottom cat, add my little bit of pink, and everything will be great. So that's what we're doing there. And then we go to the next color in the brown. And we're going to color in that. And I use the darker color that's in the marker, since, like I said before, you know, his eyes are closed, so on that cat we can just color it in. And then from here we're just going to color all the way up. So while I'm doing this next tower, we're going to let the music play. Okay, right in here I realized I had it too far up so you couldn't see all that I was coloring. So on this particular cat I decided to use, you know, 2 colors to kind of blend them in. And then I decided, you know what, I need to do the same thing. I need to color in this particular cat as much as I can because I didn't have the right shade to go to blend in with it. So once I get those all done, I decided to do the bottom, you know, to give the grounding. And so I put the light gray, keeping in mind that on this particular paper the water does not move the real brush markers. And then I took the black and I did a darker line under where the cat was laying, and then tried to, you know, blend it out as best as I could. I'm just gonna run through it, so try and soften it as much as I can. And then after looking at it, I was like, you know what, we're going to try and step this up. So I have some craft color washi tape. I used the craft in silver. I want to say, if it wasn't, no, it was this past Friday's card. But on this one I decided to use the gold. So we're going to attach the gold washi tape. Just bring it around and attach it to the back. And at first I thought I was off like a little bit. So I was gonna, you're gonna see here, I'm trying to like take off part of the washi tape, but I realized it's too strong, so I just tape it back down. Now we're just gonna add some tape liner and attach this to the card. And really and truly, that could have been the end of it. But you know, I couldn't help myself. Instead of doing sequins, which I'm going to show you at the end of the video, which is right now in the pictures, I decided to add on certain cats glitter. Yes, I said right, glitter. So when you look at it and you can tilt it and, you know, move the card, it just gives it a little bit of extra shimmer, especially with the washi tape. So make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe, and share button, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video.